So I was always aware, and definitely by the age of 9, that I was way cooler than the rest of my family. Case in point, all the other families had brand new Buicks and Pontiacs, and we had a 1954 Ford pickup truck and 2 broken down Corvairs. So imagine my surprise when I came home one day and found all those vehicles gone and a brand new pickup truck in their place. And this was no ordinary pickup truck. First of all, we had never had a new vehicle in my family, ever. And this was a cab and a half Dodge. It was aqua and white, and it was beautiful. It was shiny. It smelled good. It looked good. But I did notice one thing. We were a family of 6, and I guess Dad was maybe 1 Corvair short of a camper, because the back of the truck was just wide open. To make matters more interesting, we had planned a family road trip, and there were 6 of us, and my great-grandmother was coming with us, and my dad, being my dad, came up with this ingenious solution of going to the plumbing supply store and buying some tubing to fit over the back of the truck, and then adhered some lovely tan-colored canvas to it. And it looked ridiculous, but it was actually pretty cozy. We had room for a bed back there, and my mom never even sent me so much as up the street without packing a lunch, so you can imagine the amount of food we had in the back of the truck. And whenever we would go on road trips, it was always this great covert operation in the middle of the night involving flashlights and urgent whispering and get in the truck, like we were getting away with something. So this time was no exception, and we all piled in the truck. My parents in the front, my younger brother and sister behind them, and in the back of the truck, me, my 5-year-old sister, and my 80-year-old great-grandmother. And this was great. It was the middle of the night. We fell right to sleep. But we woke up a few hours later to this ferocious wind and the canvas flapping against the side of the truck and against the metal tubing. Who knew that would happen? And my dad did his best to stop the truck and get the canvas back, but it was not going to stay. It was not going to stay. And so he finally got frustrated and took the canvas and wadded it up and threw it in the back. And this caused a little bit of tension between him and my mom, because at the next rest stop, she gets in the back of the truck with my younger brother and sister, and it's my dad driving, and the 6 of us in the back, completely exposed to the elements. And yeah, I'm sure we were quite, all the truck drivers enjoyed going by and seeing us trying to make sandwiches in the wind and pickles flying everywhere. And we had tangerines, and we were making the big tangerine smiles at all the trucks that went by. And my great-grandmother had a bunch of those filmy scarves, and she would be wearing those and lose them 2 lanes of traffic over, and every time she would laugh and clap her hands delightedly. And for some reason, I found this very charming, because it kind of gave me a glimpse of what she was like as a little girl. And so I kind of started to relax and enjoy myself and think, oh, maybe this isn't so bad. And there comes a time when you realize that your family is a spectacle, and you are sure they're all crazy, and they're more than a little embarrassing, but you just have to throw your head back and sing along. And for me, that moment came going down to Georgia Interstate during a Roger Miller song. And this was the one we sang. My uncle used to love me, but she died. A chicken ain't chicken till it's licking good fried. Keep on the sunny side. My uncle used to love me, but she died. Thank you. Clearly not as cool as I thought. And so I don't really remember much of the trip because the back of the truck was so much fun. And I do remember going to visit my uncle in Florida, and my mom, being the person she is, never goes anywhere without taking a gift. And it became aware to me that my uncle was in prison. We were going to visit my uncle in prison. So I can just picture my mom thinking, what do you take a man in prison? What do you, I know, fresh fruit. So she takes a watermelon from our yard that we had grown, and we walk into the prison, all with our bright red, shiny faces from being exposed to the sun and the wind, all the way from St. Louis. And in order to cut the watermelon, she also brings an 8-inch butcher knife. That's my mom. And the guard, I'll never forget the look on his face, the barely contained laughter. Ma'am, you can't bring that in here. And my mom earnestly said back to him, but how are we going to cut the watermelon? So they cut it for us. Again, I remember very little of the visit with my uncle. But I do remember, when I think of that trip, I hold it close to my heart because it was the last trip that we took as a family. And much like my mom and her mothers before her, her mother and her grandmother, I always keep on the sunny side.